Very excited, very thankful to have Osmosis set to stand at Newgate Stud, joined by Bjorn Baker, of course, trained Osmosis by Newgate's Henry Field, and of course Bruce Slade with Newgate too. I suppose we kick off things, Bjorn, first by, I guess, getting your take. I don't know if you thought about this in detail a lot before, but getting your take on what does make a good stallion in Australia.
I guess Henry's on my left. He's probably the man to ask. But I think speed predominantly. You need a fast horse, and probably a good attitude helps. As a trainer, it's something that it probably makes our job easier. Good attitude, horses with good attitude, good substance as well. It's a lot easier to probably take weight off than put weight on. So just a couple of simple attributes: speed, good attitude, and a little bit of strength and substance helps.
You agree with that, H? Even the middle distance sort of stallions have a little bit of speed?
100%. The great D. Wayne Lucas said the three most important attributes in a stallion are speed, speed and speed. And if you go through the Australian sires table year on year on year, horses that had that absolute speed dominate our sires table. And I agree, like even the middle distance horses, like you look at a horse like So You Think, who's doing very well, he could have won a Newmarket. A horse like Dundeel, who your family trained, Bjorn, like he might have been essentially a middle distance horse. He's doing a great job as a stallion. Like he was a very fast horse, right? I once asked Bob Baffett, who are the two fastest horses you ever trained? And he said American Pharoah and Justify, the two best horses you ever trained. Speed is so important, and and I think that there's a good reason why speed has dominated the sires table in Australia for the last few decades.
Yeah, for sure. Now,
yeah, I think even back to that, I think my father would say Dundeel was the best horse he ever trained, also the fastest horse he ever trained. He could have won Group 1s at 1,200 metres, so there's definitely something in that. As a trainer, if they haven't got speed, big trouble.
You're in all sorts. I know when trainers say nice horse, but we might step him up in trip. It's code to say, that,
needs further.
Yeah. We're hoping.
Correct. You're hoping, yeah. So
talk us through Scott Derby Racing. You've got a great association, obviously, with the team there, Bjorn. At some stage, they let you know we've secured the Zoo Star No More Tears colt. Does that come about once they've broken in? Does that come about at the sale time? Or when did you know you were going to train him?
Well, at Magic Millions, their table's next to me, so when they buy one, I tend to just jump all over them.
Do you organically place the table cards?
Yeah, I try and get as close as I can, particularly when I see they're interested in one. So, no, I was lucky enough to get them from Magic Millions, and I remember going out to Wild Oaks, I think, and did a bit of a presentation with Derby, and no, he's always a nice horse. I actually liked him at the sales. He's so absolutely thrilled to get him in Derby Racing. They've done a remarkable job. They're great to deal with. They're very professional, and as I guess Newgate knows. So we've had an amazing run, and really Osmosis has probably kept that off an amazing run over the past few years.
Yeah, I was looking back through his trials and races there this morning, and from a public point of view, every time he produced him, like, he was just the most obvious horse you've ever seen. He won every trial you put him in. I mean, his first trial, he just jumped straight to the lead and went straight to the front. The second trial, you got Rachel to try and cuddle him up and teach him something, come from behind. He just went bang. Third trial, the same. And then every race he's running, he started short price favourite. But when did he show you, like when was the first time you saw at home this horse is a little bit different?
Yeah, I guess it's in terms of Warwick Farm, we've got great facilities, and initially we kicked them off on the poly track, and then every Wednesday we have the 2-year-old grass. And so the first time he was sort of on the grass, I thought, no, well, this horse is pretty good. He looks to be quick, and then we gave him another gallop, and I like him. He went to the jump outs, and he won by a massive margin that day. And then he went to his first trial and won very easily. So from day dot, he had speed, easy, look good, makes me look good. I think we've got a good one here, folks. And then, unfortunately, he didn't race until later in the season. He had a tibial stress fracture. So I guess...
that was out of the 2-year-old trials.
That was out of the 2-year-old trials. Actually, as we're heading towards the breeders' plate. So
and that's like shin soreness behind. Is that basically the equivalent of what a tibial stress fracture is?
Yeah, it's not unusual. So it's just like a hairline fracture. And... so he needed a few months off and just make sure he came back 100%. And thankfully, he came back in great order, trialled very, very well. I thought he would win his first race. I actually wasn't at Gosford that day. I was at home, extremely nervous. Often with these horses, when you've got a big reputation or you like them a lot, first start, you're the most nervous. And then I went to Randwick with him, and I thought he was the biggest certainty I've ever had at Randwick, ever. And he just could not get beaten, and he won very well that day, and then went for a short break and came back for the spring.
Yeah, that was. Talk us just quickly to the training side of things. So obviously showed enormous speed in that first trial. And second, third trials, was that just about harnessing his speed, teaching him just to relax that a little bit? Was the key with him just trying to harness that speed? Yeah,
a little bit for sure. And when they've got speed, often that's one thing you try and do, because you can overdo it. And I think he's actually got probably a more flexible racing pattern than people know. He can switch off. He did that when he won at Randwick, and he did that in his first start. But then his early spring races, he drew out a little bit. So we had to roll forward and sit outside the lead, which is probably not ideal. And then in the Coolmore, he was just able to take it up and take luck out of the equation, and there was a pretty smooth watch.
Yeah, his gate speed sort of just gives him all those options, doesn't it? He can sort of go forward, back, doesn't really matter. Like you sat outside Royal Tribute, humming along there at Randwick, and just always sort of had him covered down at Randwick. And I guess that's when you come into play. I mean, it was a pretty early I don't know if we've gone. I don't think we've ever bought a horse, in fairness, that hasn't won a stakes race. We've bought Extreme Choice and those horses on the way through. They won group races leading into Group 1s, but this horse is back end of the autumn winning his 2-year-old races, and you've gone on there and it's a pretty bold move.
It was. I think we Stay Inside had won 2 city races, and we bought him before he'd won the Slipper.
Fair.
So, but this horse was very interesting because I remember the first 2-year-old trials. He was electric at the first 2-year-old trials, and we actually had the Breeders' Plate winner that year in our Colt Syndicate, and so I was watching those trials closely, and he really took my eye. And I asked Bjorn the Warwick Farm Barrier trials a week after the first official 2-year-old trials, what did he think of the horse? And he said, "Mate, I'm telling you, this horse is an absolute machine." And that was a 2-year-old. He said he had a little setback after that trial. But that got the horse into my head. I thought, this is for Bjorn to have such a high opinion of the horse off a barrier trial. I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll watch the horse closely. He went to, was it Gosford his first start, Bjorn?
Yes.
And James McDonald rode him and had unbelievable praise for the horse. And yeah, we bought into him. It was after his second start, and it was an interesting race because we had a horse in the race for our syndicate called Sovereign Fund. It's a pretty good horse. He got lipped in a Magic Million 3-year-old guineas. He was a 2-year-old stakes winner, and he got trounced by him. And he ran third, I think, and Adrian Spott's fast colt, Royal Tribute, ran second, and he had him hard covered. So all those things made me think, you know what, if you can get the big banger Son of Zoostar, the stud that gets that Son of Zoostar is in a hugely advantageous position. And we really felt that at the time, with the backing of our Colt Syndicate, we went in and took a position in osmosis and thought he may just be that horse which will be the big banger by Zoostar. And it turns out that as a Coolmore winner, he's going to be that horse when he goes to stud.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, and I think he's got all the credentials to do so. But even going a step back, like Henry, he's always at the trials at Warwick Farm, at Rosehill, at Randwick, and he gets you on your own. And how's this going? What's this? And it's good to see. No doubt, you get a little bit of an edge up, and Henry, I think, is really the only stud master that is at the trials on a regular basis, and it helps build rapport, helps build relationships. And I think getting the whole deal done in terms of Henry, the relationship, he's got a great relationship with Scott Darby, and he's got a little bit more of an insight than a lot of people are probably aware from being there. And the harder you work, the luckier you get.
That's true. I remember myself and Jim Kerry and Matthew Sambon, we went to Ballydoyle last summer for a morning, amazing morning with Aidan O'Brien. Incredible Ballydoyle and Coolmore Island, quite magnificent. And we spent the morning with Aidan, and he said one expression that I'll never forget. The one thing I came away from Ballydoyle, Aidan O'Brien said, "You can't feel what you can't see." I said to him, we were talking about, do you come home every night after the races? He flies back from Royal Ascot to Ballydoyle to work the horses in the morning. And I said, why do you do that? Why don't you just stay in London and go to Royal Ascot? He said, Henry, you can't feel what you can't see. And I thought that was such an amazing expression, because it's so true in this business. You can watch as many race replays or, sit in your office, but unless you're looking at horses, seeing horses, being around horses, being around the people that are around horses, it's hard to really get that feel. And I can tell you matter of factly, that morning at Warwick Farm, when you said to me a week after those first 2-year-old trials, this horse, I'm telling you, Henry, is an absolute machine, was the morning that really ingrained that horse in my mind. And if it wasn't for that morning, I'm confident to say we probably wouldn't have approached a strike on the horse so early in his racing career.
Let's quickly talk about his 3-year-old career. He obviously had the one trial, Rosehill, won again, did it nicely, straight into the Heritage Stakes, which he won, and looking back on the form, Celestial Legend.
Yeah, like great form.
Very good form again. Second up, Roman Consul, ran third. It's the only time he's tasted defeat in his career. Outside the Galaxy, obviously, we'll take that. That doesn't count. And then that magic day in the Coolmore, jumps, just electric, straight to the front. Rachel he's on the inside, and she sort of just eases him out to the middle of the track, and he's got, all the main chances inside and outside him, and he just kicked away and won. Talk us through the spring, 3-year-old time, and how you sort of look at that.
I was absolutely thrilled with him coming up. I thought he was going super. He only had a short break into that spring, and in a perfect world, you'd probably give him more, but the main aim was trying to get to the Coolmore. The Golden Roads would just come up too soon. So he trialled really well. I was very confident first up. I was probably more nervous than his first start because there's a lot riding on it. And he got the job done after sort of sitting outside the lead. So next race in the Roman Consul, once again, drew a little bit awkward, and it was only the 2 weeks between runs, and at the time there was a little bit of talk about possibly going to the Everest. And the one thing about that, I really liked the 3 weeks between runs. I thought that would be beneficial for him, and the track sort of definitely played a little bit inside that day. So even though he got beaten, I was okay with it at the time. I thought we had plenty of horse to work with. I thought the 4 weeks into the Coolmore would be ideal. And we had a jump out plan for the Friday before, so 8 days before. And I thought he came through that Roman Consul very well, and I thought he would jump out extremely well on the Friday before, which he did. And then under the Coolmore, I was extremely confident. I thought if he got any luck, he'd win, which I've had a few runners that have run well in the Coolmore, including Overpass, another horse, Battleton. But I thought he would be extremely hard to beat. I thought, once again, from gate 6, it was a bit tricky. I left it up to Rachel, and she just took it up, and he showed that customary speed and led. And I thought he had a little bit left. Thankfully, he had a pretty good kick at about the 400. And
you had a good kick too, Bjorn. I started next year. You nearly broke my back. Yeah, but it was interesting that Coolmore, because so many good judges will tell you, and professional punters will tell you, that you want to back the horse that dominates at the official jump outs prior to the Coolmore. So 8 days before, as you said, they put on straight jump outs, straight trials at the Flemington Straight. All the Coolmore horses and all the carnival horses trial in that morning. And he was electric that day, and it was extraordinary he went off such a long price in the Coolmore, because he trialled like there was... I watched the trial with I was actually with a couple of very good trainers watching the trial, and everyone saw the jump out, saw the trials, and walked away saying that horse was the most dominant trial of that morning, pre-Coolmore, and he ran accordingly in the Coolmore 8 days later.
Yeah, he went. No, it was an exceptional jump out and the Coolmore. And one thing about him, we everyone's using the e-trackers now, getting the heart data, speed. So we get the speed and the heart data, and his what we see from him is I haven't got a horse that recovers anywhere like him. I think he's exceptionally quick, and we haven't really even gone full speed with him in gallops. We don't need to. But his recovery is just unreal. The speed drops his heart is essentially with the speed. So often there's a lag time of a minute or two, and he's just straight back down. So he's definitely, there's something there, something that you can only sort of, you can't see it, but we can measure it, and he's got a phenomenal capacity to run speed and recover.
That's very interesting. And obviously, Henry, the Coolmore on that horse's CV carries on an incredible sort of lineage now, doesn't it?
For sure. I mean, it's a great stallion-making race. It takes the best 3-year-old sprinting colt in the country to win it, so it's a bloody hard race to win, or filly, best 3-year-old sprinter in the country to win it. And as you're quite right, I think he won it. Zoostar won it, his sire. His grandson, Northern Media. His great-grandson in Costa de Lago. So 4 generations of the one line winning the same race is quite amazing, all of which were very, very good stallions before him. So, I mean, like all you can do in life and this business is learn from history, and if history was to repeat, you'd have to be as confident about Osmosis going to stud as any horse you could retire.
And from a commercial point of view, breeding to him, Bjorn, he's from one of the most attractive, fastest families in the stud book, that Hips Don't Lie family. It's a big selling family. For breeders looking to send mares to him down the track, what are they going to see in the flesh?
Yeah, well, he's, I say, it is a great family. I've got a very good friend that stands Splintex in West Australia, and of course he says the Hips Don't Lie family. I say no, the Osmosis family. So get that right. But he's got a great attitude. I think that's the key. He's just an absolute pleasure to do anything with. He's straightforward. He's a good eater. He makes my job easy from that point of view, and he's just got great physiological attributes that we see when we gallop him, and it's just phenomenal. So he's got speed, he's got the recovery, he's got the ticker, and he's a very good-looking horse. I can't wait to see him after a season or two at stud. He's really going to develop into a lovely horse. He's elegant, he's got a heap of quality, and he's probably not unlike Zoostar himself. So I think, it's exciting. It's exciting for me as a trainer in Sydney. You definitely, when you're lucky enough to get a stallion, it's like winning the lotto, let alone to go to a great stud like Newgate now, who are really put themselves at the top of the studs in Australia. So it's fantastic. We're going to have Osmosis running around everywhere, and Bob's bonuses and Bob's double up. I love Bob's. Love it. Before
we go, actually, I've got to bring this up. When did the catch cry Aussie, Aussie, Aussie pop into your head? Was that like a thing that you had held back, or was it on the day in the winning? It was the greatest winning speech I've ever heard post race.
It was a great winning speech. It was a great winning speech. And the best thing was in the VRC.
Yeah, very proper.
It wasn't. We weren't at bloody. The Gold Coast Turf Club, but the most beautiful room, the Victorian Racing Club, and Bjorn just let it rip.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. What do you say? And, I was happy to do it too, and I'll do it again.
Hope so.
But no, it's interesting because of course he's out of No More Tears, and Scott Darby and Mark Holland actually got a little band themselves, the musicians. So it's
Is
a
that
little
right?
bit
I didn't know that.
heavy metal, and a little bit maybe after Ozzy Osbourne there. So
there you go.
No, it's fantastic, and Aussie. I hope I'm saying it a lot more in the future. I'm sure I will be, because I'll be buying them. I'll be actively breeding to him, which I haven't done in the past, and very excited about him. I think he's got all the credentials to hopefully make it big in the Hunter Valley.
Very good. And the other sort of catch cry that's come from this age is your take on Baker, the stallion maker. So hopefully we can
Baker,
push
the
that
stallion
through
maker. There you go.
That's very kind. A lot of other people say less kind things. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time, Bjorn. Thank you, Henry.
Thanks.